Welcome back to Strip Buyers, and this is modeling a retro toaster part 5. I just got finished doing the top, and let's go ahead and select both those pieces that we have finished now. Hit the 1 key, make sure it's in the lowest polygon possible. Save your work, and then I want you to delete by type history and freeze transformations and center pivot. So these 3 icons, center pivot, delete by type history, and freeze transformation. Make sure you do that. And I want you to put these in separate layers now. So I'm going to go in here and select a new layer for this. I'm going to call this toaster bottom. And that's in a layer, and then we'll have a new layer for the top, and we'll just call this toaster top. There we go. Save it, and so we can turn that off and on. So now we can kind of look at what we need to work on now. We're going to work on this strip, get the strip done. It's a nice little accent strip on the bottom. And then we're going to work on the hardest part of this build would be the top is one of the hardest pieces, but this is going to be a little bit tough to do. Looks simple, but it's not. And so we're going to go ahead and work on that. And the slider will be a separate piece. Then we have the dials, which are actually fairly easy to do, and the buttons, and then we have the text. You can go into Photoshop and create your own, looks like a piece of toast, but I'm just going to put high lift. I'm just going to write, just put a square there and a high lift to represent the toast. So we're just about finished. We're going to do the dials and the knobs and the sliders, and then that's it. And so we'll get right to it. So we're going to work on the toaster bottom right now. And we are going to create a piece that goes across here. So I'm going to go to face mode, and I'm just going to select that strip that goes across. Nope, just want to do 1 and then 2, 1 and then 2. And that will be our strip that we're going to be creating. Okay, it's very, very close to the other strip, to the reference. So let's go ahead and look at it this way. That looks pretty good. Yep, that will work. So we're just going to extrude that in. So I'm going to do Control E. Okay. I don't know if that worked. Nope, it didn't. It didn't catch. Control E, there we go. And we are going to use the blue to move it in. We're going to move it in just a smidge, something like that. Okay. And then we're going to go Control E again. And with the blue, or excuse me, with the green square, we're going to click on the green square and move it down like that. Okay. So you can see we're now creating a gap here for that. Okay, and then we're going to do Control E again. Okay. Extrude. And now we're going to move this back out again, and we're going to move it basically flush with the outside piece here. Like this. We want it to match. We don't want it to go too much farther out. Maybe just a smidgen. Like that. Just a little bit bigger than then the piece looks like it's been put in there. Okay. All right, with that done, we're going to hit the Q key, okay, and we are going to make some changes in here. We're going to go ahead and select the top and double click on the top. That should go all the way around. We've already got these selected. I'm holding down the shift key, by the way. And I'm going to go underneath like this and hold the shift key down, click on that, and then double click on this. And that should just select the inner part of the thing that we just extruded. Okay. Now, you'll notice that it's kind of wonky around. It looks like it kind of did some weird stuff right here. That's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to extract it. Okay. It's important. We're going to extract it from this piece. So I'm going to hold down the space bar, go to Edit Mesh, and Extract. Okay, that piece now is going to be by itself. So I'm going to select it, okay, by itself. And I'm going to move it out of the way, okay? So notice that we're all zeroed out here. So I'm going to hit the W key and move it away from the object, okay? And this is going to allow us to do a couple things here. Okay, I'm going to go back into selection mode. And we are going to do a couple things here. We're going to go into edge mode, and we're going to double click on this edge right here. And I'm going to rotate around the bottom of it and select this edge right here. Just double click on that. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to do Control E. Okay. And you're going to see that we have a green arrow. Well, I can use the blue arrow, but that doesn't really do anything. I'm going to use the green arrow to pull it down like that. Okay. All right. So that's what we want to do. Just kind of move that arrow up. And that's going to give us, and you notice that we didn't get all the edges, or something didn't work. Okay, so let's do this. Control Z back. Okay. All right, so let's see here. I Control Z back. I think we had some issues with this part where it just kind of got a little bit wonky right here. And I think I'm going to move that down. I think I'm just going to move that down. Probably the best thing. So double click on this edge and move it down. Okay. And double click on this edge and move it up. That's probably your best bet. There we go. We're not going to close it. I keep it like that. What we're going to do now is we are going to add edge loops here. So I'm going to hit the Q key and go in, hold down the shift and right mouse button, go into Insert Edge Loop tool. And we're going to insert an edge loop on the bottom here. I'm going to zoom in on the top part. We're going to add an edge loop right here. We're going to add an edge loop right in here. And I'm going to rotate, and I probably should put one up here and one right here. I'm going to put one right here, rotate around so you can see the bottom part like that. One right here, one right here, okay, and one on the outside like we did on top. Okay, so that's what we have right now. There we go. Hit the Q key. There we go. All right, so that's good there. Okay, and then the strip right here that we created, and that's what that looks like. We gotta make that look good. So I'm going to kind of find a corner here. I click on that. I'm going to go to selection mode, and I'm going to add edge loops on this as well. Okay. So I'm going to hold down the shift key, right mouse button, go to insert edge loop, and we're going to click on the edge right here, edge right here, edge right here, underneath there, edge right here, and edge underneath of that right here and right here. There we go, and hit enter. And select it, hit the Q key to get out of the tool. And now we're going to place this right back where it was. So we're just going to type in and translate X. I'm going to type in 0 and hit enter. And there it goes right back where it should be. Okay, like that. And so that is that center piece that we see that goes around here. There we go. Now, we are going to do a final high-res smooth with this. Smooth it one more time. And everything should match up. If we don't like this, we can make it a little bit more squishy. So just squish it down a little bit more if we want to, so it doesn't fit it perfectly, and move it back up again. So we got a little more gap there. We could do that if we wanted to. I'm going to select this again and go into center pivot. There we go. Now it'll squish down better. There we go. So we have a little more gap showing between the two. We can always make changes to that too if we want to. It's just hard to see what's going on here, but I think that looks pretty good. All right, so we're going to do the final smooth on these things. And hit the Q key, and I'm going to hold down the space bar, go to mesh, and we're going to go to smooth, and we're going to smooth it at 1 and smooth. There we go. That's super high res now, and then we're going to do that with this one, and we're going to hit the G key. There we go. That looks really good. That looks really good. I think that's going to work really well. And then the top part, let's go ahead and show that. And then the toaster top will look really good too with it smooth one more time. Mesh and smooth. There we go. And you can see it kind of rounds all the corners out a little bit. That looks really good. I think we've got a really nice model here. And now we're ready for all the dials. Now that all that is done, I would select both of these things, actually 3 of these things that we have here, and delete history, freeze transformations, and center pivot, and then save your work. Okay, we are ready to do the dials if we want to. So we have an outside dial, and an inside dial, and we have these buttons, which shouldn't take long to create. And they're all just, you know, cylinders, right? Okay, so this will be a pipe. So we're going to do that as a pipe and rotate this. Okay, now what I can do is I can put the toaster base in, I'd put that into its own layer. So we should be good there. And now we can just go in here and focus on this part right here. And we're going to go ahead and get the sizes first. Okay, we'll just get the sizes. And these will be pretty easy to do. Get the sizing. Okay. And then I need to get the sizing. I'm going to hit the F key in perspective. And the sizing for this will be really narrow. That's going to be like almost like a washer. And then we're going to do Control D and move this out. Okay, to be just above this one. And this one will be scaled down to the center one. That will be a silver. Okay. So we'll look at that. There we go. So that's what that looks like. And we do want to place that like that. That's good. So that'll be these buttons here. And of course we'll want to put that, place those when we're ready. And let's see here, that usually makes these things right in the center. So let's pull these out kind of where the toaster bottom is. There we go. And just so we know where it is, get it pretty close to this. Okay, just so it touches it. Maybe it goes into it a little bit. There we go. And then we'll just duplicate that over. Control D, move that over. Control D, move that down. Except the red buttons are a little bit smaller, aren't they? Not by much, and it's just the outside. So I'll scale that down just a little bit. There we go. And select both of them. There we go. Control D and move that over. And I'm going to go to the top one again. And select these two. Control D it. Duplicate it. Move it down. Get that set up. Select these. Control D and move that down. Alright. Now the object is curved, so we're going to have to make some adjustments with that. But those are the buttons, and now the dials. The dials are a little bit different. Let's take a look at those. Okay, looks like we've got a round dial and we've got some detail, like a round little knob on top. And then we have these ridges on the bottom, and then we have this dial. That's around it. So I think I'm going to do the dial around it as a pipe. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off again so we can see what we're doing. We're going to go, we don't have a pipe in here, so we're going to go to create, polygon primitives, and we're going to go into pipe. All right. So I'm going to rotate that to 90 degrees. And move it into place. Just get that moved into place and kind of get an idea. Boy, that's almost the same size as it should be. So before I like scale it or anything, I'm gonna go ahead and go into the polypipe and go to radius, highlight that, and hold down my middle mouse button. And this will let me get the radius, but let's go thickness. And let's get that thickness about right. That's about right there. Okay. And I suppose I can scale it now. Uniform scaling like that. Now that we got the thickness and everything, that looks pretty good. We could probably go a little bit thicker maybe. All right. Okay, all right, so now once we get the thickness, we're gonna have to move that out because we are, get the base in there. Let's get the base back in there. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna make it a little bit shorter. Okay. And we're going to make the base a little bit bigger. So I'm going to kind of double click on that edge and scale that out a little bit. Kind of it'll flare it a little bit. And I'm going to double click on that and flare this in a little bit more. So we get what looks like a kind of a wedge looking object. Okay. Now we definitely want to see that wedge, and it looks like it's working pretty good. So now we're going to do the dial. The dial is just a round cylinder. So we're going to go into selecting a cylinder. We're going to move it out and rotate it like that. At 90 degrees. That looks good. And let's go in here and do subdivisions for caps to be like 2. I think that will work. Hit the Q key and then double click on the edge right here and scale that up. Okay, like that. And then we're going to click on the faces that are on the inside. Okay. And we're going to scale that, or extrude that in. Control E, extrude it in. Looks like it's kind of concave in there. And then I'm going to just kind of scale it, hit the R key, and just kind of scale it in together like that. So if I hit the 3 key, you can see how it kind of replicates that. It's kind of scaled in a little bit right there. All right, so it's kind of an interesting knob. All right, so hit the 1 key. All right, so to kind of finesse this a little bit more, we are going to go in here, and we probably don't want to push it that far in. Let me go back, Control Z, there we go. And move it forward a little bit like that. There we go. That's better. And then we can go in here to selection, hit the Q key, right, hold the shift and the right mouse button, go into insert edge loop, and we're going to insert some edge loops in here, probably right there, and right there, and that should take care of that. And we're going to do one right here. Now it looks like it's again bigger at the base, right? So let's hit the Q key and go into object mode here and get that placed properly into that spot. Okay, it's a little bit too big, so we're going to scale it down a bit like that. Move it around so it's got some space between, like that. I think that looks pretty good. All right. And then, of course, we want to shorten that up a little bit, smooth that out a little bit like that, and go into vertex mode. And then let's go ahead and scale this part down like this, so we get that knob shape, something to hang on to, and we'll move it back into place. Again, we want to just touch the back of it. I'll go to the top view a minute. And you see the curvature of the object causing some issues here, but it should be fine. And we're going to select both of those and move those back together. All right, that looks good. And I think it's okay to rotate them, but I'm gonna have to combine it. Let's do this a minute. Before I do anything else, I'm gonna add some edge loops to this because I'm gonna really make that high poly too. So selection, go into insert edge loop tool and insert edge loop here, here, and the inside here. Back in there and back towards the front. Whoops. Control Z back. There we go. Bring that towards the front. That should be good. And I think maybe I forgot to do the back of this one. Yeah. So let me do that as well to make sure that doesn't, when it's smooth, it doesn't look bad. Let's take a look at it with it smooth now. All right, so the 3 key, and then let's see, the 3 key. There we go. How does that look? I think that looks pretty good. Let's look at what that looks like that way, and I think this can be a little bit smaller maybe, or this bigger. Let's take a look. So I can maybe go a little bit bigger on this, so we don't have much of a gap between those two. That would be fine, I think. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. All right, I think we're getting there for sure. How's that dial sticking out too far? Probably. That's a monster dial. So let's just bring it in. Bring it in like that. Probably that would be better. And then of course we'll scale that back out again a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. Yes, that looks about right. And that's the dial. And then we'll add a little, little, what do they call those? Little gnarly things on, so you can grab onto it. Looks like it's about halfway down in there. And then we'll do the sliders in the next video. So we've got most of the dials done. We'll just duplicate that over to the other side once we get it all done. I think that's looking pretty good. And that's it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.